Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the show. We've got some massive breaking news. There is a cover-up happening right now. They are keeping Donald Trump busy with the court cases, the NATO meetings, the Israel-Iran war, doing everything they can to keep him busy from the Epstein files. See, I have a big concern, especially with Kash Patel. Do you guys remember when just a couple of weeks ago, Elon Musk and Donald Trump had their big falling out? And Elon Musk went onto social media, his X account, and said, here's the bombshell. The reason you have not received the Epstein files yet is because Trump is on them. When Elon Musk posted that, Kash Patel was sitting on the Joe Rogan podcast live. You can go and Google it and watch the reaction. Kash Patel didn't even stand up for Trump. Kash Patel could have said, no, that's not true. He just said, I'm going to stay out of this one. And now the Democrats are even agreeing with Elon Musk and saying, yeah, the reason we don't have the Epstein files, Elon Musk told us, because Doge sees everything, is because Trump is on those files. Where is Pam Bondi? Where is Kash Patel? Where is Dan Bongino? Oh, that's right. They're lying to us, telling us after that Epstein killed himself, for several years telling us, don't believe that narrative. It was Dan Bongino in the summer of 2023 on one of his shows who said, if somebody tells you that Epstein killed himself, that person is your enemy. Now Dan Bongino is telling you and me to believe him when he says Epstein killed himself. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to get into all of this. I'm going to break it down. I'm going to play you the clip. Do me a massive favor, please. Smash that thumbs up. Subscribe. Leave me a comment. Where are you tuning in from today? And really quickly, before we get into the clip, today's sponsor, the sponsor of the channel overall, is Verity Metals. Ladies and gentlemen, when it comes to protecting your wealth, your savings, your IRAs, 401ks, and everything in between through physical, constitutional, gold, silver, or even platinum. That's right. They have platinum. Verity Metals is the company for you. They are patriots, people of faith, huge Trump supporters. It is not a huge call center. It's small, family-owned out here in Glendale, Arizona. Customers in all 50 states and worldwide. You can go in, see the product, meet the owners. I'm there several days out of the week. Now, they'll also give you free silver on your next order when you call 888-328-6105. Tell them Vlad sent you. Links are down below in the description. Let's move on. Now, here's the clip. He was on Benny Johnson's show earlier, and this is what he said, and then we're going to move on from here.
Really quickly here, you made a huge amount of news the last time you were on the show. Last time you were on the show, there was hurricanes hitting Florida. You came, and I was in the Panhandle. You just came, and we just kind of like Spitfire, did a live, right? Just on like a back patio. And dude, that clip has gone so thermonuclear of you saying, listen, I think that they let a foreign government go kill Epstein. And I think this goes way deeper than anybody ever thought, and that America allowed it. And to a man, Matt, we continue to put up this, whether it's Dershowitz or whether it's members of the first administration, we put up this article of Alex Acosta backing you up, saying that Epstein was intel. And nobody's been able to explain it. No one's been able to explain it. Since you're not in Congress anymore, thought we might as well just take a shot in the dark. Still seems to be a prescient issue. What the hell's going on here, Matt?
Well, I mean, at the time when Epstein was involved in these activities, there was a strong desire to keep the United States engaged in the regime change war in Iraq and to keep the UK engaged in that war as well. And so one of the things that intelligence does in the United States and around the world is get people in compromising situations and then use those compromising situations to control behavior. And like you look at some of the people who have had great proximity to Epstein, and it's people who are prominent in business, academia, politics, and that was an op that was lather, rinse, repeat elsewhere. So I think one of the reasons why there is reticence with some in every U.S. government to really tell the truth that Epstein was but an operator for a foreign government. they don't want to do that because they don't want to have to acknowledge the extent to which the United States does similar stuff. I'm not saying Epstein stuff, but U.S. intelligence absolutely leverages compromise over people in other countries in order to get them to do what we want. And I'm not criticizing that, but the problem is once you start peeling the layers of the onion back on Epstein, it starts to expose the modus operandi that is used by MI6, Mossad, CIA, Indian intelligence, you name it.
So that's what you think was going on here?
Yeah.
I mean,
so let's break that down really quickly, and then we'll finish the video. He's saying that Epstein files were used by foreign agents as blackmail against American presidents and their administration for regime change. Let me ask you this. Which country benefits the most from besides America when America gets into wars in the Middle East? I'm not even going to answer. I'm going to let you guys answer. On whose behalf have we went into Iraq, Libya, Syria? Which country told us for the last 30 years that, hey, anywhere from 1 to 3 years, Iran's going to have a nuclear weapon? They started saying it a year before I was born, and they're still saying it. It's still 1 to 3, 3 to 5 years. Depends on their mood and the day of the week. Which country? In 1995, their prime minister tried to make a peace deal with the Palestinian government, signed a peace deal. This is in 1995. This is their former prime minister. And then, just less than 3 years later, was assassinated. And the guy that assassinated him works for today's prime minister and is a very good friend of his. I'm not even going to say it. I'm going to let you guys guess. But let's continue.
Obviously,
I don't even think there's another logical. But
the Mossad, we've covered extensively the Mossad connection. You know, gone through as much as we can ad nauseum on this program, and this has clearly been a hand grenade. It's amazing. Like, just a real quick follow up on this, Matt. This is like a hand grenade that like everyone was on our show promising like day one, we're gonna show you here's a good example. Here's a box of hard drives that they found in Epstein's house. Wow, look at all these hard drives. They're marked evidence, Matt. That has an evidence tape on it. FBI special agent in charge says we didn't put that evidence tape there. That's Jeffrey Epstein putting the evidence tape on all these boxes of hard drives. Haven't seen any of it. And it's like this hand grenade that was handed to the Trump administration that the pin was pulled, and like no one's been able to figure it out. You know?
Well, I think there are probably some of your viewers who would just say, well, create a website and load all that stuff up there and let the internet sleuths work it out. But let me just posit a countervailing theory, right?
I like what they pointed out there. That Kash Patel promised on day one, I'm going to release everything. Not only has he released nothing, and it's been way more than day one. Not only did he release nothing, but he won't even stand up and defend Donald Trump when Elon Musk goes out there and because of his drug habit and his doesn't know how to control himself, writes something as stupid. And again, Elon Musk has the biggest following on the internet by far than anyone else in the world. The most heard voice on the internet. After being head of Doge, seeing everything, goes out and tells the world, the only reason you haven't received the Epstein files is because Trump is on them. Trump was a client of Epstein. And at that moment, Kash Patel is sitting on live streaming on the biggest podcast in the world. And instead of defending his boss and the president, he says, I'm going to stay out of it. Instead of saying, no, that's not true. I've seen the Epstein files. It's not there. He says, I'm going to stay out of it. Who blackmailed Kash Patel? Somebody, they got something on him. I'm not even going to talk about Pam Bondi. She should just go and work for Fox. Let's continue.
Justice Department and the FBI become in the business of publishing investigative records from cases that were never tried, like Jeffrey Epstein was never tried, then what is the limiting principle on that? Because you know what would happen if Democrats took control and your show continues to blow up? They're going to go and like find some curated piece of evidence, and they're going to cast it out of context and say Benny Johnson was an agent of the Russian government because he, we all know that.
That'd be crazy if that happened, Matt. That'd be wild. Wow.
Right?
What a fiction.
Right. And so, but you could see how the process of selectively leaking investigative materials on cases that were never subjected to rigorous evidentiary review, cross-examination, admissibility standards, chain of custody. If you just allow all that to flood into the public square, then I do wonder, like, is it just every time a government switches power, do they go find anything derogatory, or that could even be miscast as derogatory regarding anyone and say, well, aha.
I want to actually really quickly comment on this, Ellen Hunt. What is the gayest city in the world? And not just by standards, the LGBTQ community of the world has recognized this city to be the gayest city in the world for almost 2 decades. Tel Aviv, Israel. That's right. Tel Aviv, Israel is the gayest city in the world. Number 2, take the Bible, take the Talmud, take the Quran. Which book out of those 3 books, the Jewish Talmud, the Muslim Quran, and the Christian Bible, just one of 3 of those books says that there are at least 8 genders, and sometimes men are born in women bodies and women are born in men bodies. Which one is it? It's not the Bible. It's not in the Quran. It's in the Jewish Talmud. So they are the gayest city, and they believe that there are the Talmudic Jews, the religious Jews like Netanyahu, believe there are at least 8 genders. I have relatives who live in Israel. They stay as far away from Tel Aviv as possible, especially during June. That's why I don't just bless anybody just so I can be blessed. Let's not take Genesis chapter 12, verse 3, where it says, those who bless you, I will bless. God is speaking strictly to Abraham. And then it says, those who bless you, I will bless them. And those who curse you, I will curse them. And in you, speaking to Abraham, all of the families of the earth shall be blessed. And then when you go to Ephesians chapter 12, Apostle Paul says, for now, because Jesus Christ came, died, and resurrected, there is no longer Jew, Greek, Gentile, male, female, slave, or free. No such thing. You either belong to the Lord Jesus Christ or you don't. And then he finishes that chapter with quoting what God said to Abraham at the very beginning and says, in you, all the families of the earth, meaning Americans, Russians, Ukrainians, Nigerians, it doesn't matter. If you're a Christian, you are blessed in Abraham. If you are not, you are an enemy of God. That's not me saying, that's what the scripture says. So I don't just bless Israel to be blessed. Come on. The Bible tells us, bless those who curse you. See, we don't hear politicians use that a lot of time. Right? Iran curses us. The Bible calls us to bless them, to pray for them. No. Israel, I want us to understand there's a religious political game being played, and we need to have the wisdom of the Lord to see through it. Not everyone who says, Lord, Lord, shall inherit the kingdom. Plus the 3rd temple, which Netanyahu wants to rebuild right now, that is where the Antichrist is going to rule from. And I'm not going to bless those who believe my Lord, according to their Talmudic teachings, that my Lord and Savior, who delivered me and rescued me and saved me, those people believe that he's burning in a fire hell of feces. I'm not gonna be okay with that. Revelations 3:9. Thank you. Revelations 39 says, let me even open it for you. So just really, really quickly, and we're going to get back onto the Epstein. Revelation 3:9. Indeed, I will make those of the synagogue of Satan who say they are Jews and are not, but they lie. Indeed, I will make them come and worship before your feet and to know that I have loved you. He's talking to the Christian churches. God in Revelations is talking to the Christian churches and says there are people who say they are Jews, but they're not. And they go to a synagogue of Satan. Have you ever met a Russian or an American or an African American or a native who you know they're not a Jew, but they walk around and they lie about being a Jew? I haven't. If you have, let me, oy vey. If you ever have, let me know. I've never met a person who lies about being a Jew. Number two, who do you know outside of the Talmudic Jews who go to a synagogue? Muslims don't, Christians don't. Only they do. Only they believe they're the chosen people and that we, Goyim, have been created to serve them. Now, I have Jewish family who are Christian, and they say have nothing to do with Talmudic Jews. They hate you. All right, let's continue. Here's the thing. Let's get back to really quickly, and we're going to wrap this up. Epstein. Why is Kash Patel covering up for Epstein? Why is Dan Bongino covering up for Epstein? Why is Pam Bondi covering up for Epstein? That's right. There's a stolen Jew valor. I believe that Ethiopians are one of the lost tribes of Israel. And it was in the 70s and 80s where the government, against the will of, because there are a lot of Ethiopian Jews in Israel, like black Jews, they actually vaccinated the black Jewish Ethiopian women, vaccinated them without their consent. They hit them with something so that the women can never reproduce again. Fact check me on this. Don't believe me. When the live's over, go Google it. Do a little research. Netanyahu's dad is from Moscow, Russia. His general is from Belarus. And Netanyahu just changed his name like when he was a teen because he had a straight Russian Slavic name. The number one spoken language in Israel is Russian. Over 3 million of the 10 million population, I believe it's 3 million people speak Russian. Those who say they are Jews but do lie and go to the synagogue of Satan. And now they have the gayest city in the world. They believe in at least 8 genders. Bless them. Yeah, let's go bless Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah. But why is Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, and Dan Bongino covering up? And this is going to hurt. This hurts me saying this because I used to love Kash Patel. I used to love Dan Bongino. I thought as soon as they get into power, the deep state's going down. Well, we've seen 0 arrests, no politicians, like real arrests. We're talking about people in Congress. We're talking about Fauci. We're talking about Adam Schiff, right? We're talking about the big players. No one's been arrested. Letitia James, Pam Bondi 2 months ago said, I'm going to investigate her and she's going to be indicted. We haven't heard nothing about Letitia James. So we're getting a lot of this, very little action. Why are they doing this? Well, in order to get the answer as to why Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, and Dan Bongino are covering up for Epstein and his customers and letting the victims walk around without getting justice, the answer to why they are protecting him lies in this answer. Why is Matt Gaetz not the Attorney General? Because that was Trump's original pick. Matt Gaetz was Donald Trump's original pick to be the Attorney General of the United States. Do you remember when Trump endorsed him to be his Attorney General? All hell rose up to make sure that Matt Gaetz does not get the job. All hell rose just to make sure that Matt Gaetz does not get the job of Attorney General. Why? Because he never took money from AIPAC. He never took money from George Soros. He really was going after the Epstein list for the last 3 years, not just talking on radio shows and podcasts. He was actually putting in the work in Congress, trying to expose the Epstein client list. He would actually do it. That's why they would never allow Matt Gaetz to be the Attorney General. But when Trump endorsed Kash Patel, right, we thought, oh my goodness, Kash Patel. But then you look, even Democrats voted for Kash Patel to be Attorney General. Even Democrats voted for for him to be FBI director. Even Democrats voted for Pam Bondi to be DOJ director. Wow. We have 3 more seats as Republicans, and we couldn't get Matt Gaetz past the finish line. But when it came to Pam Bondi, even Democrats let her get through. And we know that it's Republicans and Democrats alike who are on the Epstein list. Both of them are sickos, weirdos, and pedos. So one guy, all hell raises up to make sure he doesn't get the job. Even Republicans go against him. Even those that Trump endorsed and got them past the finish line into the Senate. They made sure, they voted with the Democrats to make sure Matt Gaetz doesn't get in. But when it came to Pam Bondi, even a bunch of Democrats said, hey, come on in, Pam. We love you, Pam. Give me a hug. High five. Same with Kash Patel. He got in pretty easy. So here's the answer. Matt Gaetz is not Attorney General today because he is not part of the deep state. He is part of MAGA. He's with Trump. And they knew they can't blackmail him. They can't buy him. They can't control him. And they've got no dirt on him. He means business. But they knew the people for them is Kash Patel, Pam Bondi, Dan Bongino. Dan Bongino worked for the Obama. He protected him. He knows stuff. He's seen stuff. He's been to parties, allegedly. Kash Patel, on his swearing-in ceremony, he put his right hand on an Indian Hindu demonology book. Not the Bible, but a Indian Hindu demonology book that believes in Lilith, Mammon, Baal, and billions of other demon gods. Pam Bondi, she has been horrible all along. This hurts me to say it, but ladies and gentlemen, let us learn a big lesson, and I'm going to wrap this up. Just because somebody talks a big, tough game and writes a book called Government Gangsters, it doesn't mean anything. It's optics. Nothing. Nothing. It means nothing. And thank God that Matt Gaetz is standing up and now exposing them. Matt Gaetz is exposing them. That is Kash Patel. And the biggest disappointment of them all, everything else I could have kind of moved on. Like Q movement, I followed Q for a little bit, and yeah, but here's the thing with Kash Patel. Other stuff could have been forgiven much easier. But when Kash Patel sitting there on the Joe Rogan Experience with hundreds of thousands of people watching live, and the tweet goes out from Elon Musk, and Joe Rogan says, "Wow, Kash Patel, do you have anything to say? You've seen the Epstein files." Instead of saying Trump is not on them, I've seen them. Trust me, something's wrong with Elon Musk. He just says, I'm going to sit this one out. That's way over my pay grade. If you were my friend and I truly loved you and I knew that you were innocent and they had no dirt on me, I would protect you. I would stand up for you. I would vouch for you. And when Trump needed Kash Patel's vouching more than anything else, when Trump needed him to stand up and, vouch for him and kind of, be on his side, Kash Patel broke like a little punk. He broke. He crumbled under pressure. Now we know who he truly is. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate each and every single one of you for joining me, for watching my updates. You guys are absolutely the best. My audience, the best. Other audience suck. You're the best. God bless you. Pray for peace. Pray for Donald Trump. We have to drain the swamp because 2028 is going to be here before we could even, blink an eye. See you guys soon. God bless.